Hello and welcome to Moneylife News and Views. I am Debashis Basu. 3 weeks ago, the Punjab and Maharashtra Cooperative Bank, a pretty large one that works out of Bombay, suddenly collapsed. It has about 11,500 crore in deposits from over 3 lakh depositors and had lent to more than 6,500 crore to bankrupt HTIL Limited, a real estate company. Now, this company, the promoters of HTIL, was controlling this bank from the back door through common directorships and shareholding. The Reserve Bank of India has restricted the amount depositors can withdraw. Several people have already died in either of shock or have committed suicide. The anger and desperation of depositors is rising. As against this, the social media is abuzz with the insensitivity of the finance minister, who unfortunately responded to heartrending stories of life savings being wiped out with the claim that finance ministry does not have any control over multi-state cooperative banks. In the heat of the Maharashtra Assembly elections, the campaign of which is now currently going on, the Chief Minister has announced that he'll find a solution within a month, that is, after the elections are over. Piyush Goyal, the railway minister, has come up with a pointless idea that cooperative sector needs self-regulatory mechanism, when that doesn't work in any part of the society. The RBI governor has claimed that he will not let any cooperative bank go down. This is extremely surprising to us because the past data tells us that one of them go belly up every few months, and there are over 1,000 of them. Unfortunately, all this, what the RBI is saying and what the ministers are saying, etc., is all just talk. All that has happened so far is the RBI has appointed one administrator and a very low-key advisory panel to support him. We haven't had one sensible move to fix the problem because we do not have a template for resolving such a crisis. Now, here are some ideas from Moneylife to fix the PMC Bank crisis and what needs to be done in future to prevent them from happening with such regularity. It will require the Ministry of Finance and the RBI to act really fast, and we are not able to see that speed right now. Bend some rules, which of course this government can easily do whenever it wants to. So the immediate steps are as follows. In any financial crisis, the first job is to move very, very quickly to protect the value of tangible and intangible assets. For this, we need a set of rules, or we can make them up, that is the rules, as we go along, as was done in the case of Satyam or in case of infrastructure leasing and financial services, which is another thing which is getting resolved. It has been more than 23 days since the PMC Bank crisis erupted, and there is no move in this direction, unfortunately. Now, this is not surprising because Netas and Babus have absolutely no skin in the game and do not care about protecting asset values. Unfortunately, there are some practical difficulties as well. You would notice that whenever there is a crisis, multiple agencies swoop down on the problem. The revenue departments, the enforcement directorate, the economic offences wing, serious frauds office, and so on and so forth. Some of them start seizing the assets. In fact, the enforcement directorate has seized assets worth 3,380 crores, or so they claim. Now, while politicians love the media optics of freezing and seizing assets, such moves are against the interests of depositors and creditors. Now, these are the only two sets of people who should benefit from any resolution, not the government. The RBI or the Ministry of Finance must immediately constitute a different kind of panel, not an administrator with a very low-key advisory panel of some retired bankers. Now, this panel should have a very short, finite life with a very definite mandate. It would have the mandate and the power to put the assets of PMC Bank and the personal assets of HTIL promoters and head of the PMC Bank in an escrow account, ring-fence it from the ad hoc actions of revenue departments and creditors, just as it is done in case of ILNFS. The most important question is who should head the panel. Now, give it to a run-of-the-mill bureaucrat or a banker and it will be a waste. And they will sort of drag this on and on and on. And this is what has happened in every single scam earlier. It was Deepak Parekh, if you remember, who oversaw the Satyam resolution in a matter of months. It is Uday Kotak, who's another private sector banker, who's overseeing the ILFS mess. For PMC Bank, it can be Mr. Deepak Parekh again, or better still, Aditya Puri of HDFC Bank, both of them very tough, no nonsense, and extremely experienced bankers with a very fine understanding of both finance and real estate, which is what is needed over here. They also have enormous experience and contacts and a network of people to cut through all of the issues and come to the nub of the matter very, very quickly. Apart from securing tangible assets, the panel should focus on extracting the value of the main asset, in this case, the extremely well-run branches and the large depositor base of PMC. Now, this should be attractive to any bank which does not have much of a presence in Mumbai, and it will be truly valuable for a fit and proper, well-capitalized finance company which wants to get into the banking business. While this will secure a large part of the deposit base, the shortfall, obviously, there's going to be a major amount of shortfall, because who knows what kind of assets the PMC Bank has lent to. Maybe there are other claimants, because HDIL is now under liquidation. So there are other lenders to HDIL, more claimants, not just PMC Bank. So I'm not sure what kind of assets can be realized, and if there is any shortfall, and I think there will be a large shortfall, where should that money come from? Obviously, the money can and should come from the government, because there is absolutely no reason for bank depositors to suffer any loss in this case at all, when the Ministry of Finance, the state government, and the RBI are all jointly responsible for the repeated failures of cooperative banks by perpetuating a very weak regulatory regime for decades together and failing to act on various previous recommendations of how to reform the cooperative bank sector. All of them are responsible, and there's absolutely no reason why anybody else should be held responsible and pay the price for this repeated failures, including that of PMC Bank. In fact, the PMC Bank depositors are far more in need of government largesse than central government employees who just got a thoroughly undeserving 5% additional dearness allowance just last week. Now, that's all about the PMC Bank crisis and how to resolve it, and it's not very difficult, not very complicated. Speed is the essence, and I'm not seeing that speed anywhere. I'm seeing a lot of talk, but the RBI is just not moving fast enough. Now, beyond this crisis, there is this whole issue of the cooperative bank sector. Today's PMC Bank, tomorrow it's going to be some other bank, and there is Kapol and Rupee Cooperative Bank and all sorts of CKP and the other banks which are now in a limbo pending liquidation, because this keeps, as I said, keeps happening again and again and again. There's just no regulation, and for Mr. Piyush Goyal to talk of self-regulation in this case is simply laughable. So the regulators know exactly what needs to be done. Over the past 2 decades, guess how many government committees and working groups have been set up to improve the functioning of urban cooperative banks? Well, here is a list. Madhav Das Committee, 1978, Maratha Committee, 91, Madhav Rao Committee, 99, Malegam Committee, 2010, and R. Gandhi Committee, 2015. These are just committees. And apart from that, there have been working groups for augmenting capital, that is in 2006, and one on information technology support, one on umbrella organizations for UCBs, that's urban cooperative banks, in 2008. The reason we still have urban cooperative banks failing is because each time we were trying to apply band-aid, and we were not doing it correctly and systematically as according to what the experts have recommended. Also, most of the sensible recommendations have actually been ignored. Now, what we need to reform the sector is very simple. The principle to be applied here is that all deposit-taking organizations should come under the sole supervision of the RBI. The totally ineffective registrar of cooperative societies should have nothing to do with regulating deposit-taking institutions, that too once calling themselves banks. What has registrar of cooperatives got to do with banks? It's an RBI's job. So the cooperative banks should be forced to become small finance banks and or merge with other small finance banks and go and list on the stock market, so there is this complete transparency and people can track what they're doing. During this process, we need free and easy mergers among cooperative banks and SFBs. Well, as there's a saying, never waste a crisis, and this is the least we can do in order to use this crisis to the best advantage. The PMC Bank is a great opportunity to not only fix the cooperative bank mess once for all, but along with ILFS, set up a template for resolution of sinking financial institutions in future. And believe me, these kind of situations after DHFL, after ILFS, after PMC Bank, these kind of situations of sinking financial institutions are going to happen again and again in future, because we've had really poor regulations and unrestricted growth for a long time now. Thanks for watching.